Professor Mascott, welcome. Is it fair to say that you have fairly little actual litigation experience outside of serving as amicus counsel?
Well, Senator, as I believe the Senate Judiciary questionnaire points out, and also, actually, that was quite extensive experience, but dozens of amicus briefs, sometimes for senators here. I also mentioned the background.
Amicus brief is different than actually trying cases. Have you ever tried a case, for instance, to been the lead counsel in a case that was tried to verdict?
So, Senator, I believe is the letter that we submitted yesterday indicates, it was talking about the District of Massachusetts matter that I argued. That, it was the summary judgment and full trial collapsed into one hearing and argued that's a verdict on the Title IX Department of Education, and then also had the honor to argue in courts of appeals during my time at the Department of Justice, and have served in all three branches of government, of course.
And with respect to your connections to Delaware, have you ever voted in Delaware?
Well, Senator, as I was discussing with Senator Coons, we, of course, have had a long time home.
Simple question. I'd prefer if I didn't get filibustered and I actually got an answer to a simple question. Have you ever voted in Delaware?
Well, Senator, as a public servant and professor here, no. I've been voting in Maryland.
Registered to vote in Delaware.
Well, Senator, as a public servant and academic here, I'm registered to vote here. If this body...
Driver's license or any other record of licensing from the state of Delaware?
Senator, I do not yet have a Delaware driver's license. I do have a car that is insured in Delaware with
because you have a summer house there.
We've had a long time home, and yes.
And you were not admitted until May into the Third Circuit?
Senator, I became admitted in May in the Third Circuit, yes.
And you have no blue slip from either of the two Democrat senators, from Delaware senators?
Senator, I am really honored to be the president's nominee, and
blue slip, correct?
Well, I didn't believe there were blue slips at the circuit court level at this point for any circuit court nominees.
That was undone by our friends on the other side of the aisle, and now that is the new tradition, and I'm clarifying that you have none, correct, right?
Senator, I don't, because it's not been used for circuit court nominees.
Your nomination to the Department of Education as general counsel was withdrawn when? Today?
Senator, I believe it was referenced that it was yesterday.
Yesterday, okay. You were on the board of the New Civil Liberties Alliance, I believe, at the time when Jeffrey Clark was hired. Do you recall that hiring?
Senator, I don't know what you mean by recall the hiring. I was on the board of the New Civil Liberties Alliance, and up through about July of 2021. And as I recall, what happened around that time is that, and I had a conversation with the director about it, I stopped being a board member. They were bringing litigation that involved an opinion that I had written at the Office of Legal Counsel in the executive branch, and I strongly disagreed with their stance in that litigation. It was actually bringing the opposite view. I also expressed that it was
about the hiring of Jeffrey Clark.
But that's I guess my point is, as a member of an advisory board, first of all, of the group, I wouldn't have had anything to do with it, and your issue has nothing to do with it.
You weren't aware of it.
I read newspaper accounts of his hiring on the New Civil Liberties Alliance. As a board member, advisory.
Nobody contacted you to ask that you support his hiring?
No,
you weren't consulted by him? You didn't interview him?
No, it was like a 24-member advisory board. A couple of dozen people, no.
Got it. You constantly use the pejorative term administrative state. You have called for the repeal or the overturning of Humphrey's executor. You have called to undo Chevron deference. You have supported the so-called major questions doctrine. All of these signals are extremely important to the fossil fuel industry, which has a decades-long battle against agencies that regulate its pollution, and which is the dominant donor interest to the Republican Party, and which heavily funded the $500 million enterprise to capture the Supreme Court, how on earth can you expect anybody representing an interest opposed to the fossil fuel industry to get a fair hearing from you?
Senator, if I were to have the honor to be confirmed at the Third Circuit, as mentioned, I would be holding the role of a judge, which is to resolve fully and impartially cases and controversies, not rule on policy matters. And also, I just, if one looks at a record even of the amicus briefs in the clinics, these are cases that are being brought on legal principles and at times for parties that are holding different policy views. And I would continue to have the same tradition of impartiality for the rule of law if I had the honor of being confirmed.